Any particular reason?
Yeah, because I'm mad at technology.
Okay. Well, I'm ready when you are.
Apparently, you're not having internet problems. Okay.
No, surprisingly, the connection, if I sound all right, the connection's holding just fine.
Yeah, most of the world uses 15. You just want 70 or 60 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Count it up.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 month behind podcast for the week of 3/26/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week we're Bill Gates and Steve Jobs because I'm mad at my laptop.
Why are you mad at your laptop?
Because every time I cut it on, it wants another Windows update. And before you say Apple's any better, I can't cut my friggin' phone on without it updating 27 apps. So, I'm going to get a Chromebook.
All right, then.
Where there's no hard drive, no updates, no nothing.
Yeah, it just does everything over the internet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I feel better. If you listen to our previous episode, you'll hear how sick I was. I feel much better now.
Yeah, I'm getting in a better mood. Literally 35 minutes ago, I began the process of trying to begin recording this podcast, and it's taking me 35 minutes to get this far, which is why I'm slightly irritated and beginning the podcast with a rant.
Yeah. I mean, if your Windows machine updates every time you open the laptop, I can understand that.
Yeah, my one at work does it too. They all do it.
I wonder if I have mine on often enough that I just don't notice. I just don't get the updates as often. Like,
dude, I keep mine on at work like 12 hours a day. Well, technically, it stays on 24 hours a day. All I do is cut the monitors off.
Oh, that may be part of the problem because you go to restart it and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there was a Windows update while you were gone. Whereas I turn mine on every day and, I probably get a Windows update once a week.
Dude, okay, once a week. Why does it have to update once a week?
I don't know.
Okay. Anywho,
if you want to tell us about how much you hate technology, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
Right now, I'm trying to shut up my Apple phone. You can email us about your iPhone or Android. No, you gave us the email.
Yeah.
I'm the website. Yes, I'm the website. www.6monthsbehind.com, or you can send us a tweet at
6 months behind.
Yeah. This is the podcast where we discuss all of the books that came out on the Mighty Marvel Unlimited app. And this week we have some pretty decent books. They're not great. They're not terrible.
No, there's some good stuff in there. Maybe it was just me, but I feel like I read a bunch of origin stories this week.
Several, anyway.
Yeah, there's a number of books where either origins are told or retread or something. Anyway, we'll get into it here shortly. But
yeah, I mean, did that whole X-Men Gold book have to be the origin of this alien?
Apparently.
I guess
we had to figure out who he was at some point, so that's what we focused on in number 12.
Dude, can we not do that in 2 or 3 pages? It's got to take a whole issue.
Apparently, they're working up to a big story with him, I guess.
I hope.
Yeah, but you wanted to mention Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah, I've been waiting on this game for a long time, like 6 months, maybe 9 months since it began being advertised. And Marvel's launching a big advertising campaign. I mean, we're TV commercials It's all over the internet. It's everywhere. And the game finally launched in the United States this weekend, and I'm really enjoying it. And what I wanted to talk about it is I was watching this video that Marvel was putting out. It was several of their nerds sitting around playing the game live on YouTube and a couple other streaming channels. And people were just putting the dumbest comments down there. Now, I understand that there are trolls out there and there are stupid people out there. And I'm learning at 53, I'm trying to learn to live with the stupid people in the world. But, you know, when you go in there and put on, well, you know, Injustice is a better game than this. This is just Injustice with no skin on it. No, it's not. I mean, seriously, play the two. Okay.
It's not anything like Injustice.
No. I mean, you and I had a phone discussion today specifically about this topic so we could talk about it. This is much more of a true RPG
It's
game.
a turn-based RPG.
It's a turn-based RPG, yes. Injustice is a button pusher. Okay. It's a fighting game.
Yeah, it's a fighting game. And Marvel has that. It's called Contest of Champions, and it's good too. But
right.
It's not Injustice.
No, and I'm just sitting there watching these people, and they're like, and where's this character? And where's that character? And I'm like, people, the game just launched. Okay. You got to have something for 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, if you want the game to have some legs. Okay. You got to give it some time.
You unlock all the characters, don't you?
You know, there's not like there is 60 playable characters there now. All right. But yeah, the list of characters who aren't is much longer than the list of characters who are. Doom's not there. Magneto's not there. None of the X-Men are there.
Okay. But you launched the game with 60 playable characters
60
and you start
playable characters. Yes.
And you start adding them as time goes on, as the life of the game goes on.
Yes. As the game grows and you realize what people do and don't want, and you know,
who would be fun to play.
Yeah, I'm still looking at my Marvel Heroes bookmark tab up at the top of my page. And can we have a moment of silence for Marvel Heroes?
R.I.P. Marvel Heroes.
Anywho, but as the game evolved, as Marvel Heroes evolved from 2014 to December of 2017, when they shut it down, they realized what worked in the mechanics of the game, what didn't. And as later characters came out, Dr. Doom, Magneto, some of the others, they were much better characters because they had the time to breathe and to make the game better and then make the characters better.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there watching all those troll Saturdays. It's like, really? Seriously? People need to get a life, man.
People, anytime you're doing a live video thing, you see this on YouTube and Twitch all the time too. People are just going to write dumb stuff in the comments. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be a Marvel event launching a new game. It could be the Olympics. And, you know, if it's being broadcast on YouTube or somewhere and there's a live chat room, it's just going to be a dumpster fire.
I guess, man. I was excited about this game. It's here. It's, unless you want to drop money, you're never going to be great at it. But I'm more of a grinder anyway. So I've enjoyed playing it for 3 days.
Yeah, I played about 15 minutes of it before, while you were doing Windows updates. And yeah, it's fun.
I thought so, man. It's a free game. Okay. They're going to let you level up to a certain point. Then to get beyond that point, you've either got to wait every day for certain things to happen, or you got to spend money. And if you see people whose team is like at this point 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 hit points, they've dropped $100 or so in the game already.
Yeah, you know, I've gotten to the point with games to where I really would just rather drop the $4 or $5 or $10 on the game than have to deal with that sort of thing. But I understand why they do it.
Yeah, it's, you know, I see both sides of it. There's two racing games I play. One is Real Racing 3. The other is Grid Auto Sports. Grid, you pay $10. You got the game. You got all you got it. It's there. Real Racing 3, you're continually grinding, trying to get enough money, gold as it is in the game, to buy the car you need or to buy the upgraded car you need. The problem is it's all hanging out. I saw where somebody did a calculation on it. And if you like bought every car in the game and upgraded it, you're at like $600 or $700. I mean, to have the money in the game to get the cars to run on every race course.
Yeah, you've invested $600 or $700 real dollars into the game,
and that's what it is. And I'm just not going to do that. Whereas you pay $10 for grid, and it's there, and boom, you're done.
Right? Yeah. To me, I would rather do that,
right?
Or have an option where I can play it do that free to play thing, or pay a $20 price tag and get everything.
You're never going to get the $20 price tag.
No, certainly not. Not for a game like that. But it's I can hope.
Yeah, but dude, it's fun. I mean, I've been playing Injustice 2 for how long have I been talking about it? 3 months, 4 months now, something like that.
Yeah, you've been playing Injustice 2 for a little while.
And I could be further along. Again, if I wanted to drop somewhere between, at this point, I've probably spent between $10 and $20 in the game. Probably closer to 10. Okay, to buy some coin at certain points. Usually when they have it on sale is when I buy it. They have a buy one get one or 40 off, 50 off, something like that. But I mean, I could be much further along in the game if I were dropping $10, $20 a week. And I'm just not going to do it, man. Just not.
Yeah, me either. And, to me, the Strike Force game is a little more my speed. I don't really care for those button mashing fighting games. I've always been that way. I've never cared for like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or any of those games. They're just not my thing. This is being a turn-based RPG is a little more my speed.
Yeah, and it seems to be a good turn-based RPG. And there's as you get to the different levels and open up all those things you see on the screen, there's some pretty cool stuff there.
Yeah. You think we're ever going to get another Marvel Ultimate Alliance game?
I have no idea. It would be nice.
It would be fun.
I would buy a console for it.
Dude, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, man. I don't know who made them. I mean, because it was like 2 X-Men games or 1 X-Men game, 1 or 2 that operated on the same OS for the game. That's probably not the correct term. And then they came out with Alliance and Alliance 2, and dude, those were both very good games, man. I still got them.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember plenty of times being at your house playing the crap out of those games.
Dude, but tell you what, there are a few games for the PS2 and Xbox 360, maybe PS3, that have held their value to this day. You want to go out and buy one of those for 360, and it's going to cost you between $25 and $40.
If you can find a copy. Yeah, because there's infinite replayability for those games. You can play those games, you can just play them forever.
Yeah, and that's the way the Strike Force game is, because it's there are bonuses. It's the Avengers, the Defenders, and somebody else. But if you put the characters together on a team, you get bonus points for having a certain number of Avengers or a certain number of Defenders on a team.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then somewhere along the way, you unlocked it. There's actually a hero quest and a villain quest. Oh, so you got to get a team of villains. It's somewhere up there in the campaign tabs. There's a villain campaign, so you got to get a team of villains built.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll check that out.
Yeah, dude, it's all about managing your resources. Anywho,
go play Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it. Good. I'll probably enjoy it myself. Just to let you guys know, we are discussing spoilers in this show. We do discuss all the spoilers in all the books that came out this week. So if you haven't read them all, pause now, come back later. We'll still be here. Although we're in between events, so there's not a huge thing going on.
Well, we got Legacy coming out next week, and I'm going to post an article next week on that I found on the Legacy numbering system and how Marvel, what they counted and didn't count to put the numbers on those that we're seeing on these books.
Okay, so you're saying it's not exactly accurate?
No.
I wondered.
No, because tells of suspense for a few. For instance, it ended at like 99, either 99 or 100. Tales of Suspense back in the 60s shared Iron Man and Captain America. Well, it was either 99 or 100. Captain America began continuing that numbering system, and then Iron Man started over with number 1. And what they did is they're coming out with a Tales of Suspense to
tells that
we'll probably get it on Unlimited. Right? Yeah, it's Bucky and Hawkeye. Telling the Natasha story, and it starts over at like 101 or 102. Like, okay, there's that Tales of Suspense and there's this one. Yeah, but Marvel's published a bunch of Tales of Suspense books in between, and they just didn't count those.
Well, that's dumb.
It explains how Moon Knight gets to like 170, how and it shows, literally it shows every issue to take, and it's put out by Marvel. Here's the issues we counted to get to this number. Yeah, I'll put it up when we go off the air. It'll be there by the time you listen to this.
Okay, cool.
And if you look on those notes I sent you for that project we've got coming up, it's actually looking on the Marvel Legacy tab on those notes.
I knew what article you were talking about. I hadn't looked at it, but I knew which one you were referring to.
Yeah, it's all there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Okay. We ready?
Yeah, let's jump into our books this week.
Let's talk about some comic books. Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, number 11. This is just an alternate universe. Spider-Man and Mary Jane and their kid, Spiderette, and not her name, Spider-Rooney. Spinneret. There you go. Yeah, whatever. Like, you're not going to see these 3 people swinging down the street and know it's the Parkers. Anywho, her long ponytails doesn't give it away. Mary Jane's long flowing red hair doesn't give it away.
People have always wondered, and we'll talk about it more with Invincible Iron Man. How does Clark Kent just put on a pair of glasses? And
that's what I was thinking. I don't know, man.
How do people think that Peter Parker and Spider-Man, they're buddies and they've known each other a long time, and that's his bodyguard, but somehow,
every time Peter Parker shows up in the Spider-Man or Tokyo or London, in one of these areas, Spider-Man suddenly disappears. You never see him in the same place at the same time. Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's like, you're hanging out at a cocktail party and all of a sudden a villain attacks and Peter disappears and Spider-Man shows up.
Yeah. It just magically happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter could be taking a trip to the moon and, Spider-Man's needed. Gotta go. Be right back.
Spider-Man on the moon.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know, man. Anywho, so they're chasing the Rhino, and what we decide her name was, Spinneret. They tell her to stay out of the way and stay back, and she gets captured. Turns out the Rhino's working for little Normie Osborn.
Of course he is.
And I forget what Normie's chief of staff is, what her name is, but she's kind of ticked at Liz because Liz is a bad mom. So Peter and Mary Jane split up to go get him. Mary Jane goes after Liz, and a few issues ago we learned that Liz Allen and Oscorp developed in this universe anyway, developed the symbiote that is attached to Mary Jane. She's like, I want it off now. Control this. Then Spider-Man walks into a bar and says, hey, I want to know this. Everybody laughs at him. The villain's bar, of course. And
that sounded like a setup to a joke.
No.
Spider-Man walks into a bar.
No, it's not. But he eventually beats the answers out of everyone he wants. And they tell both of them where where Peter's daughter is, Spinneret, and little Normie's got her hostage. Of course, he hasn't taken the mask off of her and seen who she is. So
no, why would he do that?
No, when they get there and there's a big splash page at the end, and he's in the Green Goblin armor.
Because we didn't know it was leading to that at all.
No, of course not. And they haven't been hiding that. That's one of those things they've been actually talking about for a couple of issues. So, he's got a whole inferiority complex thing going, and yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, you know what happens when you combine that with the goblin serum, and yeah.
They're all crazy.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Spectacular Spider-Man number 4. So we're 4 issues into this, and this series has gotten a lot of praise. How do you feel about this? Written by Mr. Chip Zdarsky and art by Adam Kubert.
You know, any of the Kubert's art is good, so I don't have a problem with the art. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. I like it as a way to tell other Spider-Man stories.
Well,
but
somewhere around issue 6 or 7 or 8, there's an enormous reveal or thing that takes place in the Spider Universe, and it happens there and not in Amazing Spider-Man. And it's one of those things where you go, oh, well, he just did that. And it's not so it's definitely not a B book. It's a, you know, when they do that, you realize it's an A book.
Yeah, it's a mainline Spider-Man book. I mean, you know, for the first couple issues, I wasn't entirely sure if it was taking place in the same continuity, but it is.
It is.
Yeah, it's just they want to tell more Spider-Man stories, and this is how they're doing it. And apparently, Chip Zdarsky's doing a good job with it. I know issue number 300 sold like hotcakes. So,
you know,
and I think he got nominated for an Eisner this year.
We'll discuss in the over the next few weeks. We're fixing to do a string of what's next. There's going to be 3 of them, and it's about Marvel Comics, basically where they were, what happened, and where they are now. So I'm doing a lot of research on it. I'm going back and reading Sean Howe's book, Marvel Comics: The Untold Story, which is it's just a definitive work on Marvel Comics. It is. If you read anything else about the history of Marvel Comics, they're quoting Sean Howe. I mean, that's how definitive his book is. But I was reading it, and Todd McFarlane basically got himself kicked off Amazing Spider-Man. And they said, what do you want? He said, I want creative control. I want to write it and draw it. And they said, okay, fine. And gave him Spider-Man. And his thought was, it'll be a piece of crap and it'll never sell. At the time, it was the biggest selling issue of all time, which number 1 sold 1 million copies. And Todd's point was, if people buy it, that's what makes it good or bad. Not whether or not you or I like it, not whether like the editors or the people at Marvel like it. If the book sells, it's a good book. And he actually made the point, if I put 23 blank pages out there and throw a few words on it and it sold 1 million copies, it's a good book, period. And he's kind of right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's kind of right. And that's, you know, so if the market will bear another Spider-Man book, which is what this Peter Parker book is, and it's selling well and everybody likes it, and Chip Zdarsky is winning Eisner Awards, God bless him. Let it go.
Yeah. He's doing a bunch of stuff at Marvel these days. It's you know, he started out doing just a few things here and there with Matt Fraction. He was one of Matt Fraction's buddies that brought him on to the Marvel train, and Chip Zdarsky is going to be one of the big wigs at Marvel here soon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's writing that 2-in-1 book that you're enjoying so much.
I'm really enjoying that book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we found out this week that's going to lead, and we all knew it was coming. That's going to lead into the relaunch of the Fantastic Four. What I didn't know and what I'm really excited about is Dan Slott's going to be writing it.
Oh, dude. Dan Slott and Sarah Pacelli are going to be on that book together, and I'm looking forward to that.
I hope he's got another 10-year run in him and he just stays there writing the Fantastic Four forever.
I hope it's similar to his Silver Surfer stuff.
I'd rather it be closer to his Spider-Man stuff, but okay.
It could be either one. I'm fine with Dan Slott.
As long as Dan Slott's writing it, man. I don't care.
Anywho, Spectacular Spider-Man number 4. Peter and Johnny Storm are fighting the Tinker in Wilson Fisk's apartment. Spider-Man saves the day, of course. Jonah wants to start publishing now that he's back at the Bugle. Wants to start publishing Spider-Man stories again. Robbie tells him, "Look, you used to back in the day when you published these stories, they were you actually made a good argument. Now it's obvious that you're just biased against Spider-Man. So no, we're not publishing it." Spider-Man's sister, who isn't really a sister, is still on the run from Shield, and they're getting closer to finding her. So he's got to hide her somewhere. They meet his pink-haired lady friend at the comedy club. Spider-Man tries his hand at comedy and crashes and burns. Pink-haired lady friend says, "No, your friend can't stay with me because she's in danger." And then the Vulture shows up. So yeah, there you go. The art in this book is really good. I mean, of course, it's one of the Kuberts, but I think to me that's the shining thing about this book is the art.
Okay. It is good. That art is good. I really do enjoy that art.
Yeah, then you have Spider-Man 2, number 3. Now, this whole book, as we discussed, is an origin story. You find out exactly how Miles Morales, the 616 Miles Morales, became acquainted with acquainted with the Kingpin and became a big time criminal. They met on Rikers Island, got to be friends. That's where Miles Morales got the cut on his face by saving Wilson Fisk's life. They get out of prison and build a crime empire together is essentially what we see in this book. Yeah, that's there you go.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't read it. I didn't want to read it. I'll probably go back and read it at some point. Yeah, I'm sure I'll go back and read it at some point.
You're not into the Spider-Man 2 thing, are you?
Not at all.
No.
You
don't care about.
We were just discussing it. Can there be an oversaturation of Spider-Man? According to Todd McFarlane, if it all sells, no. I don't know, man. You got Miguel O'Hara, you got Miles Morales, you got 2 or 3 Peter Parker books, you got Spider-Gwen, you got Renew Your Vows. That's a lot of Spider-Man.
Yeah. And then you got to consider the Venom and Carnage stuff, which is spin off of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which, Spider-Man is their top hero, and he's their big moneymaker. So the market can certainly hold multiple Spider-Man books, but you're right. There's a ton of Spider-Man material being published.
Yeah, and it's always that Spider-Man stuff is always particularly amazing. Is always in the top 20 in sales monthly. Doesn't matter what event's going on. Doesn't matter what DC's doing, what Marvel's doing. Dan Slott keeps amazing up in the top 20.
Well, and it's always like how well Spider-Man is selling is a way to gauge the health of Marvel.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way that you do with Batman and DC.
Yep. Jean Grey, the first of our X books, number 7. This is a pretty entertaining little book. Young Jean Grey has left Doctor Strange's sanctum and is walking with the older ghost Jean Grey, and they're arguing in public. And I'm not sure exactly what the old Jean Grey wants. I think she wants her to immediately address the Phoenix problem right now, no hesitation.
Yeah.
And young Jean's like, just give me some time. Just let me chill. Let me relax. Let me get my head wrapped around all this. And the older Jean Grey isn't having it. Then Wanda shows up. Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. And she says, "Hey, darling, you just need to relax. You just need to just calm down." And I never understand, does Wanda see old Jean or not?
I don't think so.
Wait, let's circle back to that. So she comes and gets young Jean. They go hang out on the island. They swim. They do yoga. They just chill for a while. Then, of course, there's a monster attack, and Wanda and young Jean defeat the monster. And, old Jean is yelling, basically calling the shot. "Hey, look over here, over there. There you go." Well, then they go to underground New York where all the monsters live, you know, where Deadpool's ex-wife hung out at.
Yeah.
And old Jean gets hung up for 45 minutes because she's an unregistered spirit. So at that point, that's why I was wondering if Wanda could see her or not.
No, I think the only time she becomes apparent is when they're there in that monster city or whatever.
And finally, old Jean just has enough and possesses the body, and I guess technically the mind and then the body of young Jean. And they go off to meet with someone, and turns out they're going to meet Emma Frost, which should be entertaining.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how the book ends.
Yeah, this Jean Grey book is really good.
It's really good. And of course, it's leading up to Phoenix Resurrection. And yeah, it's a good book, man.
Yeah. X-Men Gold number 12. Now, if you remember a few issues ago, the X-Men found this green alien guy, and they've been studying him in the basement of the X-Mansion.
They've been studying him or just holding him hostage?
I thought they were studying him.
Okay.
His name's Kolagoth, and this is his origin story. He comes from some planet in the negative zone, and it turns out on his world, he was a mutant, but he's a different kind of mutant. His parents left him to die, but he ended up surviving and becoming a horrible, evil monster. He reintegrates into his own society later in life and becomes the leader of space Nazis. And these space Nazis try to take over the planet. He gets how he ended up on Earth is the whole space Nazi thing didn't work out, so he was banished to Earth. And some lady gets him out of prison, hands him over to Mesmero, and says, "Hey, we have use for you." Then he gets captured by the X-Men, and we find out the people on his planet who are his followers have they've essentially taken over the planet, and they plan on bringing him back. Meanwhile, there's something going on Mojo World, and there's going to be a big Mojo World event, and that's probably when I'll stop reading this comic book.
Yeah, Mojo was in Guardians too, and I don't really understand why. Better yet, I don't care.
Yeah, dude, can we stop playing with these D-list characters that nobody likes? Mojo, who's the dude that does the Murder Worlds arcade? Stop.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we have Royals number 6.
Fin Fang Foom.
I still like Gardner, Fin Fang Foom, and Terex the Tiller.
Fin Fang Farm.
Terex the Tiller, man. Come on. That was
Purple Chickens.
Yeah. CM Punk didn't get much right, but he got that right. If you don't understand, go back and read CM Punk's run on Drax the Destroyer, where you'll see all these characters forming. Because maybe that's good writing. What do I know?
Maybe that's where Drax learned to be a pacifist.
No, that's revealed in a book somewhere. Haven't we already read that?
Maybe. I don't know. Drax is a pacifist, and that's stupid.
I thought we read that a couple of issues ago.
We might have. I don't remember.
Do you care?
No, because Guardians, they haven't published a good Guardians of the Galaxy book in 2 years.
Let's just go and talk about Guardians number 10. I'm bearing down on this book because in this book, we left off, and I've got Royals open, so I'm doing all this from memory. Okay, All New Guardians of the Galaxy number 10. It'll be our first 616 book when we get there. We're doing it now. This book is directly going into the Infinity Countdown series. I mean, it's just, it is the lead-in. In this book, we find out how the Gardener got corrupted. Issue number 10 came out this week. How the Gardener got corrupted because Loki apparently the Gardener, one of the elders of the universe, had possession of the Soul Gem. And when he gave it to someone else, we won't discuss who he gave it to, but he gave it to someone else, and Loki came to the Gardener wanting it. When the Gardener wouldn't give it to him, Loki basically, what am I looking for here? Brainwashed the Gardener and made him evil. I don't know how he did it, but somehow Loki made him evil. The gardener corrupted Groot. Now Groot can't grow beyond a couple of inches or maybe a foot high. I don't know, whatever. The Guardians are stealing stuff for one elder to, I think, the collector to give to the games master because they're all brothers. And, they're the ones who tell him the Guardians been jacking around with Groot. And does it sound like I care? And I'm trying to care because I know it's going somewhere. Okay. In this issue, we have Loki looking for the soul gem. So I know it's going somewhere, but I'm just like, golly, this is bad, man.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't care.
I'm with you. I want to care. I do.
And the thing is, you and I both have read Infinity Countdown #1. If you want to understand what's happening in that event, you need to be reading this book.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
How anyone can bring themselves to read this is, I don't know.
The podcast that we're the What's Next podcast that we're going to record. It's a series. The first one is Marvel in the 1990s, which was the boom. The second one will be the bust, what went wrong that led to the comics crash. And then the third one will be how 2017, 2018 parallel the 90s comic crash. Let me tell you how they parallel. Marvel published too many books. For instance, too many Spider-Man books. They got reliant upon events and they started publishing alternate covers. They were publishing the books in the bags. So if you wanted to collect a book and keep it in mint condition, you were immediately forced to buy 2 books, one to read, one to keep in the bag, so it would stay in mint condition. That automatically doubled their sales. Automatically. And
sales gimmick.
You can only do so many alternate. How many alternate covers do I post on our website, 6monthsbehind.com, every single week, man? And it's just, there's literally dozens a week. And you've got event after event after event. And they don't have the infrastructure, the enough good writers, enough good articles to keep this machine rolling at the rate it's going at. You would be better off, rather than publishing 80, 90 books, whatever it is they publish now, cutting it back to 40 or 50 and making them all quality.
Yes.
But they don't want to. So there you go. And they wonder why their sales are bad and why their sales are crashing.
And why no one's buying Royals #6.
Yeah. Royals #6 is, it's really giant. Who cares? There's a couple of pages of art that are good here. But as a rule, I mean, the Inhumans are on Centauri 4 fighting whoever it is they're fighting. Kid Kree, whatever his name is, survived being thrown into the Sky Spear by Maximus, which means he's at least partially inhuman. Then what's his name? Gorgon has to rally without his hoofs and has to use just his physical strength, and he has to lead all the other Inhumans simply by their physical strength with no super abilities whatsoever to go and save the day, which they do. Hooray. And, oh, by the way, he's in love with Medusa.
Who isn't?
She's getting around, man. She's going to get a reputation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the last 12 calendar months, it's been Black Bolt, Johnny Storm, and now Gorgon. Although she and Gorgon haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Are they killing all the Inhumans?
Yes. They're killing off the Inhumans, which is another thing we learned this week.
How are they doing that?
I don't know, but they're going to publish a comic book about it.
We can only hope.
Yeah. I hope they're going to just fling them into the sun. Prejudice.
You're racist against the Inhumans.
I sure am.
Because they suck.
Yeah, because they suck.
Okay.
If Jack Kirby came back right now, he'd just be like, what? You're bringing the Fantastic Four back and killing the Inhumans? What? What are you doing over there?
Yeah. Wherever the Fantastic Four been, and what are you doing with the Inhumans? Yes, that's exactly what he would do.
Anyway, we're going to talk about Venomverse, Venomverse number 3, which I've actually really enjoyed this Venomverse thing.
This has been good.
Yeah. And apparently it's selling halfway decent. So,
dude, there are still Venomverse books coming out because it's selling great.
Good. As we saw at the end of last issue, Deadpool has handed himself over to the Poisons. He is now with them, along with Captain America. Rocket has built a large bomb that he's going to use against the Poisons if he can. Doctor Strange is summoning yet another person from the multiverse into this world to fight the Poisons, and it turns out this time it's Carnage.
Yeah.
Carnage, not being happy being ripped from his own reality, tries to kill everybody, and that's about the time the Poisons attack. And Carnage says, "Oh, more people for me to kill," and immediately cuts Iron Fist in half. Just, Iron Fist, boom, 2 pieces, done.
Yeah.
And it turns out Carnage is actually pretty formidable against these guys. He's the weapon that they've needed. So they managed to put the Poisons on the run. He manages to kill Carnage manages to kill Ghost Rider, who was captured by one of the Poisons. And even though Carnage is doing a good job here, they still managed to capture Doctor Strange, who they haven't been able to bring over to their side yet, but it's only a matter of time. And it's Doctor Doom who comes to Doctor Strange and says, "Look, you think by bringing all these people to this universe, these other Venoms to help you, you think that's been a good thing, but really you've just given us more fuel for the fire."
Yeah. And the question is raised as to whether or not Doctor Strange is doing the right thing by bringing more Venoms there to their universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good book. I'm enjoying this Venomverse stuff.
Venom number 154 is the first Venom book that I have enjoyed in a while. First off, Paulo Siqueira is drawing it, and there's some really good art here. The first real page in the comment, which is page number 3, if you're reading in Unlimited, it's just a full page of Venom that looks good. He does there's some detail there. We're trying to keep this podcast under 2 hours, so we won't go into it. But there's some really good detail, some really good work in this book. And what this issue is every time Eddie Brock goes to sleep, Venom is set free to roam and do what he wants to do. Eddie's not aware of this. He knows he's having weird dreams and he knows there's stuff going on, but he's not really sure what it is. And as Venom roams the world, and apparently he's educating himself by watching TV, which is all bad. We learn what has happened to Venom over the years as he's bonded with different hosts, as he's bonded with Peter Parker, as he's bonded with Eddie Brock, as he's bonded with the guy who's Carnage now.
Cletus Cassidy.
As he's had Flash Thompson, who he was within the Guardians of the Galaxy with. It's affected the symbiote in different ways, and he's trying to figure out who he is and what his place in the world is and how he makes Eddie happy and how he and Eddie have an ongoing relationship that works for both of them. And it's really a good book. I mean, it's good art. It's good storytelling. There at the end, he meets in the first issue of this story arc. They go to the church where Eddie and the symbiote first met, and I thought they killed the minister that was there. Instead, it turns out he's in the hospital in pretty bad shape, and the symbiote goes and talks to him, and the minister gives him some wisdom, and yeah, it's a one shot. It's a single issue story. It's not drug out over multiple issues or anything like that, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah, if you're looking for a leaping on point with Venom, read this and then go back and read those Venomverse books.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have our One Generations book this week, which is Mrs. Marvel and Mrs. Marvel. This book was better than I really anticipated it would be.
I thought it was worse than I thought it would be.
Really?
I wasn't impressed.
Okay. I actually enjoyed it. So Kamala gets zapped to the past, like the 1970s, and she's like, "Oh crap, what do I do? Okay, I have to figure out how to get back to the future." She bumps into Peter Parker when J. Jonah Jameson grabs her, pulls her inside the Daily Bugle, and says, "Listen, you're late for your interview. You're late for your meeting. Get up there right now." And it's like all of a sudden she's thrown into this board meeting with this women's magazine that Carol Danvers is running. I didn't realize Carol Danvers ran a woman's magazine at one point in time after her military career, but apparently she did.
Yes, she was publisher of Ms. Magazine.
Right. So their sales numbers are not good, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And Carol wants to push, women's issues as instead the readers really just want makeup tips. That's when Shi'ar Bird Lady shows up and is gonna wreak some havoc, and her and Kamala get together and have to defeat the Shi'ar Bird Lady. And they also figure out a way to save the magazine at the same time. So yeah, it was not half bad. The art in it's really good too.
Yeah. It was very good art. I did, that's about all I enjoyed in it, but it was very good art. Anywho, Avengers number 11. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I haven't read this book in 6 months, but I just went back and reread it. Actually, probably 3 months because it's shipping twice a month. But I just went back and reread it. I guess 6 months. Yeah, 6 months behind.
It was okay. It was kind of a
it's a filler issue.
Yeah, they're kind of tying up loose ends after Secret Empire and kind of prepping for what's coming next.
Secret Empire just ended. Worlds Collide is about to begin. Worlds Collide is the crossover with Champions, and it addresses all these issues with both the Wasp, as in Janet and Nadia. You've got Viv and the Vision having some issues. They had a couple of issues in Secret Empire, and those are going to flow over into that crossover. And what this basically is just it's just a filler book. They begin in the Baxter Building, which Peter did own and has now been foreclosed, and they don't have anywhere to meet. They're trying to get their stuff together, both figuratively and literally.
Yeah, they're all really mad at Peter Parker.
Yeah,
they don't realize it's Spider-Man.
Yeah, Hercules and Vision are trying to work some stuff out.
Yeah, Vision realizing he's immortal is trying to figure out how to deal with that.
Yeah, and the whole thing is just a filler headed to Sam Wilson and Thor are having some Lady Thor, not Odin's son, because I think they kiss in this issue. Maybe not. I don't know. Anywho, they're all working it out. Then Sam gets the call, yells Avengers Assemble with a funny nose there on the last page, and they head off to save the world.
Yeah, it just tying up loose ends.
Yeah, it's not a bad book. I'm kind of soft selling it, but it wasn't a bad book at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
US Avengers number 10 was okay. Also tying up loose ends after Secret Empire. Some congressman is upset with Robert DaCosta over him bringing in the European Avengers on American soil to mop up the Secret Empire thing. General Maverick who's the Red Hulk, is having complications after having been the Hulk for too long, so they've got to figure out how to help him. This whole thing with Robert DaCosta and this senator, I never quite figured out what the whole deal was, but Robert DaCosta, as you see at the end here, really screws this guy. It costs him his job.
I think the senator was just trying to throw his weight around, and Robert DaCosta just, what, forget this, and just gave him the finger and walked out.
Yeah, and I mean, we see at the end here, the problem is Robert DaCosta, so he just resigns as head of AIM and really just shows this dude to be an idiot. Aku is having issues with Tony. Yeah, I don't know. Dr. Tony Ho is going to be the new leader of AIM because Robert DaCosta resigned. Shi'ar lady shows up and says, "Hey, guess what? Sam Guthrie's not dead." So yeah, I don't really know where this book's going, and we'll see.
It's going looking for Sam Guthrie,
I guess.
Yeah. And that brings us to the 616 universe.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, that was a long pause, and I needed a long pause because I got to take a whiz, man.
Okay.
Sorry, you were just starting into America, but you paused just long enough for me to jump in there. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And by the way, tell me if you can hear the bathroom flush through the microphone while I'm in there. Okay, I feel so much better. All right. Oh.
Okay. No, I did not hear the toilet flush.
Good. I feel so much better.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Miss America.
Okay. So again, with the origin stories in America number 7, we get the origin of both her parents and her planet and people. I'm not going to go into detail here. If you want to read it, you can. Art in this book's really good, by the way. I was trying to figure out who's doing the art. I don't know. Anyway, she spends the whole issue with her grandmother learning about her origin, what happened to her home world, what happened to her parents that maybe she didn't know, and how that is going to be important. Is that America herself has some sort of role to play in saving the planet that she originally came from. It wasn't half bad. This book is one of those that, as we've discussed it before, not every book is for everyone. This one is not for me, but I can appreciate it.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
This is going to add about another 5 or 10 minutes to the podcast. The cover of America Chavez that's there.
Yeah.
I Googled her trying to find her age. Late teens, early 20s. Probably late teens. 18, 19, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And this is a very seductive cover.
I mean, I've seen worse in the comic book industry.
Well, of course we have. And which is my point. At what point does the Me Too movement, does our president being in an argument with an adult film actress catch up to comic books and people say, yeah, we don't want that? Yellow.
We don't want what? You just stop talking.
No, overly sex covers and art and, a 20 or 22-inch waist and a 46-inch chest. I mean, at what point is there just pure backlash against the comic publishers for these types of covers? And there has been. I mean, there was the Riri Williams cover, I guess, a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's there, but I don't think it's reached its.
Well, and there are other things going on with the Me Too movement and women representation in comic books, and it hasn't reached the art necessarily, because we're still dealing with women aren't allowed in comics. We still have this mentality that, you know, women editors shouldn't be working for Marvel because they're the ones who are making Marvel comic books bad. And, you know, any comic book that deals with any sort of politics or social justice issue that I don't agree with is bad. And we can't even come to a consensus over, you know, whether or not to harass someone and make death threats over the t-shirt that a female character wore in a comic book.
Yeah.
My point is, we got a long way to go before we get to, hey, maybe we shouldn't be drawing covers with, you know, scantily clad teenagers on them.
I don't think it's that far away. Although
it's not, because the comic book industry is changing and there's more women working in the comic book industry than ever. And it is changing, but we're not there yet. And it takes people like me and you speaking out about it, and, you know, two heterosexual white dudes saying, hey, you know, women working in comics is perfectly fine, and, you know, don't harass them about it.
Right. Let me buy Miss America because of the quality content and the quality artwork, not because of the sexual poses on the cover.
Right. And to be fair, she's turned around. All you see is her butt and her back, and she's not naked. She's just wearing tight shorts and a tank top. So,
but the problem is her tight shorts, let's say that, are 2/3 of the cover.
Yeah,
half the cover.
You're right, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what the emphasis of the cover is.
Right, it's meant to catch the male gaze on the shelf in the comic book store.
Absolutely. And my point is, why do you need in 2018? Why do you need that to sell comics? Why can't you sell it with the art and the content and the storytelling and the characters rather than that?
Yeah, because it's still a male-dominated industry, and at some point in the process, someone probably never even thought to ask.
I guess not.
And what sucks is a lot of the female editors at Marvel are leaving. Another one announced they were leaving today, or not today, this week.
Yeah.
They're going on to do other things, which makes me wonder about what kind of work environment Marvel is creating over there.
It does, me too. It absolutely does. Next up, we have Doctor Strange number 25. This was okay. Zelma
Stanton
chose to embrace being a magician and working in the sorcerer's world rather than rejecting it, which she could have, Doctor Strange could have cleansed her. I forget if it was last issue, a couple of issues ago, whenever it was. And she chose to do it and eat this gross food. And somewhere, she gets demon possessed, and there's a long story as to what's happened to her. And Doctor Strange goes on this journey trying to free her. And it's okay. I mean, it's they wind up in a mental hospital. He winds up fighting a lot of demons. It was all right.
Yeah, I actually didn't read it. I didn't get a chance to. I've been super busy this week. So
yeah, dude, it's okay. It's you haven't been a fan of Doctor Strange for the last few issues, and this did nothing to change that.
That's a bummer, because I really like Doctor Strange as a character. I just haven't enjoyed the last few stories they've told with him.
Yeah, I know you're really into Doctor Strange, and this isn't working.
Oh well, the creative team is about to change, so
I was looking right now to see if it had already changed. I'm trying to get back to the first page. Or is Jason Aaron still writing, or this is his last issue? And the answer is written by John Barber.
Oh, this may be like an in-between.
I think it is. There's a bunch of artists. I think it is an in-between the two creators and story arcs.
Okay, because who's taking it over?
I have no idea.
Is it Donny Cates? Is Donny Cates taking it over for just a little while? And then somebody else is, because Donny Cates is going to move on to be doing Venom and a bunch of other stuff. So I think it's Donny Cates for just a minute.
I don't know, man.
I'll have to look. We'll find out. Anyway, Invincible Iron Man number 11. This is all the women in Tony Stark's life telling stories about Tony Stark. You got Tony's mom and Mary Jane Watson having lunch when Mary Jane Watson tells the story the first time that she ever met Tony Stark that he doesn't remember. Which, you know, he meets her in a bar in, I guess it's what's that place?
They're in France doing a Milan, Italy, I think.
Milan, that's it. I wanted to say Mulan, and that wasn't it. That's the lady from the Disney
Milan.
Movie. Yeah, in Milan. You know, that's when he's doing the whole Iron Man's my bodyguard thing, which she doesn't buy. Which brings us back to, you know, how often do people actually buy the cover stories people tell to keep their identities secret as superheroes? He starts out hitting on her, but then they actually have a really honest conversation. And then Riri Williams shows up and she tells the story about how Iron Man saved her during the Skrull invasion a few years back. It was a good issue.
It was a good issue.
There's a bit at the end that I'm not going to spoil, but we're going looking for Tony next issue.
Yeah, we're going looking for him. Yeah. Luke Cage number 5. Great cover. Very, very good cover. I really like the cover on this thing, which was done by Raza. The story, this is the end of the first 5-issue arc. It's kind of the I think next issue will be a summary or a recap, but this is where it really wraps up. Luke is still there in Louisiana, in New Orleans, with Dr. Bernstein, and they're discussing the ups and downs. That's not the way to say it. The merits or cost of Dr. Bernstein's work, because for every Luke Cage he's created that is successful, and he was trying to recreate the Secret Soldier formula, and it explains that in this issue. You know, for every Luke Cage he got right, he created monsters who weren't right, who were crazy. And that's really the crux of this story. They're in the mobster's house. Luke winds up fighting everybody. You know, there's lots of fighting toward the end. He and Dr. Bernstein have a long discussion about what Luke has done with he and Warhawk. Of course, Warhawk was loyal to Dr. Bernstein. And it's just a mess, man. I mean, it is. And it discusses the moral of what they're doing. So, moralities, I should say, of what they're doing. And it's a good issue, man. It's a good little arc. It is.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's you know, to put it in a different perspective, you know, Captain America works because the super soldier formula worked on him. But what if it had turned him into the Red Skull? Would you have tried again? Would you have kept making Red Skulls until you found Steve Rogers to be the perfect Captain America?
Right, you know? Because that's essentially what the Doctor's doing here is he got it right one time, and then he just keeps creating monsters.
Right. And it's, you know, and that's kind of the question is because you got it right once and you think you can keep replicating it and maybe heal people or make them, you know, cure from diseases or whatever, do you keep making monsters hoping to get it right again?
Yeah. Is that a risk you run, or do you just go, you know, okay, clearly this isn't working. I got it right once. Just quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I was going to go off on another tangent, but we've had enough tangents for this podcast.
Yeah. Monsters Unleashed #6. Kid Kaiju is having what he thinks are bad dreams. Turns out it's actually a monster trying to contact him telepathically. Um, Apparently, it's Fin Fang Foom who doesn't look or act like Fin Fang Foom. Um, this is not a book aimed at you or I. It's an all ages book, and all ages books are super hot right now. I heard some guys talking on a podcast. Dude, that all ages stuff is what is selling right now. It's the thing that's keeping the comic book industry afloat, and so I understand why they're doing this series. It's it's all
right. There you go. It's all right. Yeah. Hulk number 23. I never hesitate to be critical of a book, and I also want to say when a book is done well. And Greg Pak, who's been writing Hulk for a long time, I think all the way back to the original World War Hulk 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, he's been
World War Hulk was like 13 years ago.
but he was doing it then, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm old. And the first 22, this is issue 23. The first 22 issues of this book, I've been really disappointed in because I was hoping for more of what we got this issue. And for whatever reason, it took them 2 years to get here. Well, they're finally here. And Amadeus Cho, this book begins with Amadeus Cho inviting everyone over for dinner. Miss Marvel, Jimmy Cho, T'Challa, the Black Panther. There's a funny scene where, they what's that girl's name? It's not Gwen. It's one of the Spider characters. Cindy Moon, has a fan moment with T'Challa. That's pretty funny. And of course, Amadeus' sister is there, and
it's nice to see Cindy Moon show up in a comic book. It's almost as if they'd forgotten about her.
I don't think they had any place for her. But the bottom line here is after a few minutes, they eat, they tell a few stories, and then T'Challa's like, "Hey, what are we doing here, man? Because you didn't call us just all together because you like people, because you don't. So what are we doing?" And Amadeus has come to realize that he has a problem with the Hulk, and he's losing spaces of memory and time, and something's obviously happening. So what he wants to do is get on the moon, confront the Hulk in basically not necessarily an astral plane, but in his mind, with all of these people there and T'Challa monitoring the whole thing. And the plan is, if something goes wrong, T'Challa sends him to outer space, because that worked so well last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they begin making Amadeus angry, and the Hulk finally appears. Amadeus literally has to let him out of the trunk of the car. And if you've been following this story, figuratively, I guess would be the word, Amadeus drives around in the car in his mind, and the trunk, the Hulk is locked in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And Amadeus literally has to let him out. And the Hulk's like, "Dude, man, you got anger issues, which is why you're having problems." Amadeus like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. And they all start going down all the things that are wrong with his life. The friends at school who laughed at him, his parents, his sister making fun of him. And he finally cracks, and it reaches the point where T'Challa is afraid that the Hulk is going to break the moon in half. I mean, he literally, when Amadeus Cho lets the Hulk loose from the figurative car, lets him out of the trunk and begins addressing his anger, he becomes the world breaker Hulk. He gets that mad that quick, and to the point that T'Challa thinks he's going to break the moon, which is when they shoot him into space, which is what T'Challa and Amadeus Cho had planned. And next issue, we're returning to Planet Hulk.
There you go.
It was a good issue. I really enjoyed it, and I'm wondering why Greg Pak hasn't been doing stuff like this the whole time.
Well, you had to build up to this.
I don't think you need 2 years of build up.
No, I think you need time for Amadeus to really get used to being the Hulk, and for people to get used to him being the Hulk. Plus, you had to have some time for him to struggle against the Hulk, figure out he had a problem. Yeah. Okay. I've enjoyed this stuff. I've enjoyed the Hulk.
It's good, man, and it's been mediocre. I felt this issue returned it where it needed to be. Yeah, I felt Greg Pak got his groove on again. How about that?
Okay, cool.
What is this Thor and Hulk book?
I don't know.
I don't either. It's one of those. It looks like one of those books created from the cartoons, from the cartoon universe, and Thor and Hulk are fighting on a contest of champions world, and Thor's running around in a diaper for a third of the issue, and I don't care, and it was just bad.
Yeah. Moving on to our Star Wars books, we have Star Wars Annual number 3. Now, my opinion of annuals is well known. I think annuals are a dumb thing that should have gone out a long time ago. And all they do is serve to be vehicles for mediocre stories. And that's what we got here. Han Solo and Princess Leia are off trying to find a new planet for the new Rebel base. They end up on this planet with this tunnel system that smugglers tend to use. Han knew about it. Apparently there's a bunch of creatures that live in these tunnel systems that are hostile. So while the two of them are arguing about it, they get ambushed by some bounty hunters who are after Han Solo. And as you can imagine, the rest of the issue is them struggling against the bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Phasma number 2. I have questions.
Okay.
But let's discuss the book first. Captain Phasma has escaped Starkiller base in a TIE fighters. They're after Lieutenant Rivas. They chase her to just him or her? Him?
It's a him.
To this desolate planet called Luperora.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. It's like those names from the Old Testament, man. You just look at them like, okay, yeah, whatever. What was your mama thinking? Anywho, turns out he crash landed there. They land. The people who are on that planet have, there's a whole backstory there as to why there's on the planet, why there's so few people. Captain Phasma goes underwater, defeats this creature. They think she's some kind of god because she defeated the creature. So they show her where all the creatures live on this island, and she's supposed to go out there to the island and get Rivas. Yeah. Good book. I'm kind of soft selling it. Good book. Good. Again, I'm really enjoying this art. Here's my question. Captain Phasma takes, I would have said her helmet up until now off. And she appears to be a robot. Or is she simply wearing another helmet under the helmet?
Yeah, there's a mask under the helmet.
So she's not a robot. She's wearing some kind of breathing apparatus and mask under the helmet.
Yes.
An android, I guess, would be the Star Wars term.
Yeah. No, as far as we know, she's flesh and blood.
Because she doesn't appear to be that.
No, but
the artist rendering here of her does not give you that impression.
Well, the thing, and you'll find out in later books, but it's meant to keep her face and idea covered. My guess is that they have not decided what Captain Phasma actually looks like yet.
In other words, they don't have an actor yet.
No, they have an actress. Yeah, they have an actress. It's just one of those things where I don't think they're sure if they're going to use her face or someone else's. Okay. Kind of like they did with Darth Vader, Yeah. The guy that was in the suit isn't who you think of as Darth Vader. It was James Earl Jones.
Right. You picture James Earl Jones, and it's obviously someone else. Yeah.
The actress that plays Captain Phasma is Brienne from Game of Thrones.
Huh.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. My guess is they just haven't decided if they're going to use her face or not. Apparently, that's something I heard in an interview one time. Sometimes when they're writing these comics, they get instructions not to use certain things or reference certain things because the creative team that decides all these things about Star Wars have not reached a decision on those things yet.
Yeah, and Lucasfilms controls the Star Wars universe. Whether you're reading a hardcover book, a comic book, or seeing a movie or one of the cartoons, they all exist in the same universe, and they are all, what's the word I'm looking for?
Canon.
They're all canon. Thank you. They're all canon, and they're all intertwined. And
Right,
Lucasfilms literally has a team of people that maintain that canon.
Right. So they have to, everything has to line up correctly. So when they haven't made a decision about a certain thing, they often will tell people working on certain projects, don't use this, don't use that, don't reference that character, don't use that ship, don't mention that planet, don't mention that species.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Poe Dameron 19, the Black Squadron's been captured by the the First Order. They managed to escape with the help of Terrax, interestingly enough, who is able to overcome his programming and help them out. Meanwhile, Adi Mulva sacrifices himself to save the team and allow them to escape. Yeah, it's a good hero's death for someone who had betrayed the team. Yeah, it was good. This book I know is moving towards the movie, and at some point we're going to see Poe Dameron's point of view of The Force Awakens.
Sure.
Yeah, it was good.
Good. And what was your favorite book this week? I enjoyed the Hulk book. It wasn't a great week. There were good books, but there wasn't any great books.
Everything was middling. I might have to go with Captain Phasma.
I'm going with Jean Grey #7, but Captain Phasma would be in there too. But I enjoyed Jean Grey #7. I like throwing the Scarlet Witch into it. And what they really did here is they threw some lighthearted humor into what has been a very serious run and what is going to be a serious run.
Yes.
Yes, because there are no breaks between now and Phoenix Resurrection.
No.
So this was some good humor before we get there.
Yeah. On the dump this week, we had some X Factor issues, Kazar, and some more Master of Kung Fu. So for the fans who like Master of Kung Fu, hooray. We're going to be doing an issue of What's Next coming up real soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll be discussing Future Imperfect.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website where I'm continually late posting things, but I'm efforting, is www.6monthsbehind, the number 6monthsbehind.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter at 6monthsbehind.
Yes, you can.
All right. That'll do it this week. Pat, share with us some wisdom as you always do.
Mark Twain said, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to reform, to pause and reflect.
Okay. Not sure I agree, but all right.
I think it's kind of deeper than it reads, and I kind of meditated on it in a moment, and yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Okay.
Okay.
You got your Future Imperfect notes ready to go?
Sure.
Where do I find Future Imperfect on here?
It's under Incredible Hulk. I'm looking. It must be under Hulk Future Imperfect. See if it's under Hulk Future Imperfect. Yes, Hulk, Future Imperfect. Not to be confused with Incredible Hulk. You got it open?
I'm looking at it.
What's the dates on it?
1992.
That's what I thought.
Okay. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. Hit it whenever you want to.
3, 2, 1.
Hello again. This is the What's Next podcast, where we discuss what you can read in Marvel Unlimited besides the weekly books that just happen to show up every week. And we take a look at some of the things that are deeper in the book. And this week we're looking at Future Imperfect. I'm Pat. It's my buddy Sean. How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
Yeah, been better, been worse, hanging out. So this week we're discussing, this episode, I should say, we're discussing Future Imperfect. And we're doing this because the Maestro has appeared in a lot of books recently. He was back during Secret Wars. He was played a large part in Battle World and Doom's universe there, which really kind of reintroduced him to the Marvel universe. He's now in the Wolverine ongoing series. There's a story there with the Maestro and all the Hulks there. He was in that Contest of Champions book, and he's just an interesting character. And I thought we'd spend a few minutes, not a long time, just a few minutes discussing where he came from. And to do that, you got to discuss Peter David. And because Peter David had like a 12-year run on the Incredible Hulk, had a long run. When he took it over, John Byrne had been writing it for a while, and it just, at that point you're on like issue 300 of Hulk Smash. And Byrne had tried to do some things with the character, and he actually separated the Hulk from Bruce Banner for a while, few years actually. And he tried to do some things, and it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't. Dude, there's a wedding issue. The issue where Betty, are you in the Incredible Hulk or are you in Future Imperfect?
I'm looking at Future Imperfect.
The wedding dress he drew for Betty Banner in 1996 is or Betty Ross at the time. Dude, it's so bad, man. It looks like something Leia would wear on some goofy planet. So
it was the 90s.
No, it was the mid 80s.
Same
at
thing.
That point.
That's even worse.
May 10th of 86 is when that issue came out.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine what it looked like in the 1980s.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad. Anywho, so he left the book. A couple of other people kind of came and went, and the book was just really bad in sales. At the same time, Peter David was director of direct sales for Marvel. Okay. So he's a salesman. At the same time, he wanted to be a writer, and he kept submitting scripts for different books, and he finally submitted the Spider-Man book that got picked up. Then he submitted some stuff to DC that got picked up. And it was kind of weird because Marvel actually had a rule at one time that you couldn't, under Jim Shooter, that you couldn't work in management and work in creative at the same time. So he was actually had this conflict of interest going, and got his editor fired for it, and he nearly got fired because he's doing both at the same time. His writing career hadn't taken off yet, so he was still selling, but he's writing good stuff. He's like writing Star Trek: The Next Generation stuff at DC. He's writing some other stuff at DC. He's writing this Hulk stuff, and eventually, of course, he quit. How familiar are you with Peter David?
I'm more familiar with his 2099 work, Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, he did that, but he wrote some really good Star Trek stuff. He wrote a novel called Imzadi, which is it's one episode of The Next Generation where Riker and what's her name? Golly. Anyway, the psychic girl that he dates on and off. Anyway, he writes.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Deanna Troi.
Deanna Troi, that's it.
Took me a few seconds. Actually, that book became a New York Times bestseller. He created an entire Paramount at the time gave him his own section of the Star Trek universe to play with, and he created this Next Generation characters, and just their own ship, this whole group of characters, their own universes. It was like probably a 20-issue paperback run that sold really well. So Peter David became a good writer. Now, he has his faults, as we all do. He forgot to pay his taxes. He is notorious for going on websites and Twitter and fan sites and saying things and then starting fights. What were you going to say?
He didn't pay his taxes?
Yeah, I believe he's wanted for tax evasion right now.
Okay, then.
As in, right, not like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
but
like right now.
Right now, I think he's in trouble with the IRS for back taxes. I may be wrong. But yeah, so Peter David's character. And when he took over the Incredible Hulk, it was Hulk smash. And they just said, look, just do something with the book. Teamed him with a young artist in 1986 that no one had ever heard of by the name of Todd McFarlane. And the two of them began working on the Hulk. And dude, it was the whole run is good. The McFarlane stuff is great. It was followed immediately by Dale Keown, I believe his name, who eventually wound up in Image working for McFarlane. Man, it's some great art along the way. It's just good. But what Peter David did was he started creating different personalities of the Hulk. Okay, because so he came up with the Joe Fixit character, the Gray Hulk that's smart, that works in Vegas for the mob. Okay, he came up with the Professor Hulk, who we see in Future Imperfect. He came up with all these different Hulks that just added life to the book, and basically there were different personalities of the Hulk manifesting themselves, and they were just good books, man. They just were, and Peter David's whole run is good. And in 92, he led up to what became Future Imperfect. And it's a kind of a complicated story, but what has really happened is the Hulk from 2099. And this crosses over between the books and Future Imperfect. The Hulk from 2099 has survived everything from the 2099 universe. And he becomes the Maestro, kills all the heroes, basically just sets himself up as the ruler of the world. Kind of like our president wants to be. He is the ruler of the world, and he's the emperor and nobody questions it, or he just smashes their head. There you go. When we first meet the Maestro, he's literally having a party that's been going on for a week, and there are women hanging from the chandeliers. There are women everywhere.
There's it's like he's coming out of his harem.
He is. Yes, he literally is. Yes. And what's happened is Rick Jones, who is still he's alive, but he's very, very old, 110, 120, whatever. And he is, if you read the book, he's got all of this superhero memorabilia. He's got Wolverine's skeleton. He's got Magneto's helmet. He's got Nova's helmet. He's got all of these artifacts, these heroes' artifacts.
Beast's fur on a wall.
I said he's got it all.
Yeah.
He also happened to acquire Dr. Doom's time machine. So after a lot of planning and thought with the rebels who are rebelling against the Maestro, They go back in time with Rick's Avengers ID card to convince Professor Hulk, Professor Banner at this time, that they need him to come defeat the Maestro and overthrow the Maestro. And it takes some convincing, but he does. Hulk loses the initial battle, rallies for the second battle, and of course he wins the day. Dude, he's the Hulk and he's got an ongoing series. Of course he's going to win today. But what this did, and it's sold very, very well at the time. This is 2 issues, and they're more of a trade than they are an issue. They're like 48 pages long if you've got it open.
Yeah, and each one is, they're at least double-sized issues.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see where the Maestro came from to put it in perspective with everything he's doing right now. So, and that's why I wanted to read this, because I was just like, how did we get here? And I went back and read these 2 books, and Future Imperfect's a classic, man. It's been reprinted a dozen times. It's in all kinds of books. If you go to a computer and just open the Incredible Hulk tab, you see all the hardcovers there, and there's lots of reprints of Peter David's work, 2 or 3 reprints of this Future Imperfect book. It's good stuff, man. It is. Yo.
Okay, I just stopped being able to hear you for a while.
Oh, all I heard was your microphone moving and lots of stuff moving around. I thought you had dropped your mic or something.
No.
Dude, there was just like tons of rustling and...
Yeah, I was disconnecting everything and reconnecting everything because the sound just dropped out.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant it was something that happened on my end.
No.
All right. All right, let's pick it up with me recapping it.
Okay.
Is that cool, or where do you want to pick it up at?
I don't care.
Dude, I almost said let's do this Wednesday night. If you want to, we'll start over Wednesday night.
No, let's just go.
All right. You all right?
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know where I'll have to edit it together somehow.
I know where we are. I can make sense of it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Count us down.
3, 2, 1.
So anyway, that's Future Imperfect, and that's why it's a good book, and it's a classic, man. What do you think of it? Have you had time to read it?
No, I hadn't had time to read it. I was actually just flicking through it.
It's definitely 90s art.
Yeah, I was just thinking this looks real 90s.
It is definitely 90s, man.
It's 90s as heck. So yeah, I'll give it a read.
Okay.
Really, I mean, each one's 48 pages, but it's just 2 books. So it really, I mean, you could read it in 30 minutes.
Yeah, dude, we just finished Secret Empire, which was, 12 issues of 48-page books. So
yeah,
2 of them isn't bad. It's a good read, and it shows you where he came from. I really enjoyed it, man. I did. So there you go.
It's good to know where the Maestro comes from, because he was a character that I had no reference to.
Right. And this is definitely some of Peter David's best work, because what he did in this book is there's a lot of characters there, but there's not so many that you lose track of them. And some of the books he's doing now, those 2099 books, and I forget what he just started writing. Dude, there's so many people you lose track of it, because and that's kind of what he did in that Star Trek book I was talking about earlier. He wove all these characters together and created his own universe. And dude, sometimes he loses his way.
Yeah, he's always he likes to weave a story, and sometimes it gets too convoluted, and you just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Especially if you're reading month to month, you tend to lose the plot a little bit. But this is cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. That was Future Imperfect. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com, where all of the notes for this will be there, where you can look at them, see what you want to read.
Fantastic. All right, guys. We will see you next week.
Peace.